I keep my goals to myself, cause whenever I share it with folks, they get a look upon their face and their memory floats to a time where their goals and the stars.
What's good? We're going to get into TNA Lockdown from August the 23rd, 2026. This was a pretty okay show. TNA definitely tried here. They have now signed Avery Styles, the son of AJ Styles, which is great. So that's a good pickup there. I actually do like that. They are pushing Leon Slater. He is now going to be main eventing Bound for Glory, which I had predicted all along. I've actually predicted that since back at Slammiversary. That's what they're going to do with Leon. And I do like that. So it's going to be Leon Slater versus Nic Nemeth for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship at Bound for Glory. So that's great there. So TNA continues to push young talent, which is good. I like it. We'll see if he sticks around. He very well could. He might just sign an extension and go to NXT or AEW next year sometime. We don't know. But at least they're pushing young talent. Overall, this show was pretty okay. So the attendance was actually pretty good for this show. It was close to 5,000 people that came out. This was in Chicago, so that's really, really good there. And this was kind of like a weak build for Lockdown. I felt that like the build for Lockdown was very, very weak. But, you know, it is what it is. It happens, so there's that. But I am glad for them to be able to get basically almost close to 5,000 people out for their version of Elimination Chamber / War Games. That's really what this is. That's really what Lockdown always has been, basically. So there's that. You can also say Blood and Guts, too. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the show. So the pre-show, the Righteous, they defeated Rich Swann and BDE. Match was okay. Trey Miguel, he ended up defeating Agent Zero. Trey Miguel came out dressed as Spider-Man, which is pretty cool. I like that. And Trey ended up giving Agent Zero's first loss in TNA, his first singles loss, which is fine. I like that. But I do wish that Trey Miguel get on the actual main card instead of trying to do the pre-show. He's actually above that. I'm hoping that they can do something with him. Hopefully, now that Leon Slater has relinquished the X Division Championship, maybe that's what's next in line for Trey Miguel. He's won that before. So yeah, because Trey Miguel needs to do something with this second run, right? He really truly does. So good stuff there. Indy Hartwell looks like she's gonna begin a feud with Daria Ray. She ended up making fun of her, calling her Diarrhea Ray and everything else. And then basically, the reason for that is because all of her decisions stink. So Daria said she's only going to give her one strike. Give her one warning. There's not going to be another warning at all. So they are looking to feud Indy Hartwell and Daria Ray, which is fine. So that's pretty interesting there. Moving on, this leads us into the first match of the night. AJ Francis defeats Elijah. So Lockdown basically consists of every single match is inside of a steel cage. The cage itself looked fine and everything. AJ Francis got the win. Expressions, the guy who's his manager, got involved in everything else. Post-match, a.k.a. Diener, the hometown man, came out and gave Elijah the guitar, and Elijah hit AJ Francis in the head with the guitar, and that was it. Thank God that this bum-ass feud is over with. So that's a good thing there. Whatever, I guess. Who really cares? But whatever. Moving on, this leads into the Knockouts Tag Team Championships. Ali and the returning Kiera Hogan, who hasn't been in TNA since like 2021. They defeated the Elegance brand, so they retained the tag team titles. Match was okay. It was kind of short and everything else. Heather by Elegance is fucking insane. She ended up getting out of the cage. It was almost like she did like a magic trick. The crowd really wasn't into that for whatever reason, but commentary sold it very well, and I was like, holy shit, this is great. It was almost like you were like watching an actual magic trick, and it was beautifully done. And so she was on the outside and all that, and then Kiera Hogan got the win. She ended up pinning M by Elegance, who's in the finals for the Knockouts television title. I do expect for Jada Stone to win. I'm sorry, Jada Stone to win. I don't know why I said Parker, but Jada Stone should win because again, TV titles always kind of basically look good on baby faces, and I think that's what needs to happen. Moving on from that, this leads us into a match that I didn't give a single fuck about. Frankie Kazarian defeated Moose. The fact that they are still pushing both Frankie Kazarian and Moose, that boggles my mind. What the fuck is TNA doing? That is so damn dumb. I'm not a fan of Moose. I'm not a fan of Frankie Kazarian. They are both bums. Equally. Both bums. You can throw Eddie Edwards in there, Brian Myers in there, Alicia Edwards in there, Diener in there. You know, I'm being serious. Like, we got to move on from these people. So, you know, there's that. Moose ended up spearing Kazarian like 3 times, and Kazarian ended up busting through the cage, and that's how he won the match. So, whatever. Moving on, a match that I did like. Zaya Brookside defeated Elena Black to retain the Knockout Championship. There was blood in this match, which was great. Both women used the steel cage as a weapon, so there was color in here. Elena Black got thrown into the steel cage. She was bleeding like a stuffed pig, which was insane. This was really, really good here. Apparently, these are both heels, but since we were in Chicago, they made Elena Black the babyface, which is fine. Both ladies kicked out of each other's finishers. And then, for whatever reason, Zaya Brookside ended up bringing in white powder. And she ended up trying to throw it into the face of Elena Black. Elena Black got out of dodge. And then Zaya Brookside ended up winning via a roll-up. So that's fine. Again, this feud is still going to continue. Why would it not? I'm fine with this. I really am fine with this. I hope that TNA can bring in some more women, some more knockouts, not just Kiera Hogan. Maybe they end up bringing in Zelina Vega, aka Zelina. I could see her easily coming in. Unless she's going to go to like MLW or whatever, something like that or whatever. But I think she'd be great in TNA. So, you know, here's to that. And hopefully that happens. But again, this match is fine. And this is just the start of their feud. So, let's see how this goes. Next, this leads us into the match of the night. Mustafa Ali defeats Jason Hodge to become a 2-time TNA International Champion. This match was fucking amazing. So, basically, both guys went balls to the walls in this match. So, Hodge ended up hitting a beautiful avalanche powerbomb from off the top rope. Normally, if this match like took place on television or whatever, that would be the end, but it didn't happen. The Order 4, they got involved. Agent Zero, Tasha Steelz, and everything else, they got involved. Skyler fought them off. He ended up doing a beautiful, beautiful flying crossbody. That was amazing. The crowd popped big for that. Hodge was basically bleeding internally from his injuries. So basically, Mustafa Ali, he got into Jason Hodge's daughter's face. He ended up grabbing the toy dinosaur. So basically, they're going to do a stretcher spot with Hodge, but he made a massive comeback. He ended up leaping on the top like Spider-Man, and he did an amazing double foot stomp to Mustafa Ali. I was like, holy shit. It was like a damn speeding drop kick, but it was so beautifully done. He crashed and burned through the table. That was great. The match still continued on. Mustafa Ali ended up hitting a spear and the 450 splash. Jason Hodge kicked out of that, which was great. So Jason Hodge was still holding on the toy that Mustafa Ali was trying to set on fire, which was insane. And then Mustafa Ali ended up hitting a 450 splash for the 1-2-3, and Mustafa Ali wins. This is great. Loved it. They gave Hodge the title for a good 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks, like I predicted. This is fun. This makes perfect sense. Mustafa Ali needs to be in the conversation of at least getting a shot at the TNA World title. The guy is a fucking gem. He's so good as a heel, and he's also good as a babyface. But Ali has really, really hit a grand slam with this heel turn that he's done for a while. This has been great. This was even better than the heel shit that he was doing in when he was with WWE all those years ago. Right? This is really truly Ali coming into his own, and I'm a fan of this. Jason Hodge is great too. Maybe you have him go after the X Division title at some point. I think that would be great. But man, we gotta at least put Mustafa Ali in the conversation of at least trying to become TNA World Champion at some point, because the guy is so damn good. You kind of could say the same thing for AJ Francis. Like, I think that he should also be in the mix, not for the world title, but definitely like for like the international championship or the X Division championship, something like that. I don't think the TNA sees him as a main event guy. I think that he's a really good mid-card guy, really good mid-card act. He's not ready for the main event scene at all, but he is definitely a good mid-card act. But Mustafa Ali, with this match, proved to me that he's damn sure ready to be in the main event scene of TNA. Moving on from that, this leads us into Avery Styles. He officially signs with TNA. So Frankie Kazarian, he warned that the locker room was full of snakes, but Avery can always trust him. So, you know, there's that. I actually do like this. I like this. This is great. This is a good stepping stone for Avery. I could see him being with TNA for a good year, 2 years, and then from there, TNA will probably send him to NXT, and I think that is fine. It'll probably take him at least 2 years to develop, and what better place for him to develop than TNA, right? So to me, it makes the most sense. I'm a fan of this. Let's see where this goes. And again, I'm not really a fan of Frankie Kazarian. I really am not. But this is a good way for him to help get Avery over, because the guy's only had like 2 or 3 matches under his belt. And I do expect for this to be a long-term feud, not just like a one type of match and that's it. So this we very well could probably see their match at Bound for Glory. So I wouldn't be shocked if we end up seeing Avery Styles versus Frankie Kazarian at Bound for Glory. I think that's where they're going with this. So they got about a good 7 weeks to build that up, right? So good shit there, good shit. Moving on, this leads us into Leon Slater. He defeated Cedric Alexander in the last man standing inside of a steel cage. Match was very, very good. Cedric Alexander, he did a beautiful Michinoku driver off the top rope. He got a 8 count from that. Match still continued on. Leon Slater, he ended up getting busted up in the match as well. So this was the second cage match that had color outside of Zaya Brookside and Elena Black, which is fine. And then the finish came when Leon Slater hit not 1, not 2, but 3 lumbar checks. And then he ended up doing the 450 swanton for the to get the 10 count and everything else. So I like that. Good stuff there. Very, very good stuff. And we all knew that Leon Slater wasn't going to lose this match. I don't know why people lost their shit thinking that he was. He's not. Hopefully he ends up winning at Bound for Glory. Hopefully he ends up signing an extension, staying with TNA. If not, it is what it is. But I do think he probably will end up signing an extension and staying with TNA for a little bit. Hopefully. But we'll have to wait and see how that shit plays out. Moving on, this leads us into Daria Ray. So she was talking to someone on the phone, saying that Indy Hartwell can't talk to her like that. Daria will see this person on Thursday for Impact. And then there was basically another mystery attack that they've been doing. They did this like last week, 2 weeks in a row. Last week it was Moose. No, last week it was Cedric Alexander, and then the week prior it was Moose. So then Daria, she blamed Santino for for the lack of his authority. Okay, whatever. This all screams that they're going to bring in the Wyatt Six. Maybe not the entire faction, but I can see them bringing in Dexter Lumis, Joe Gacy, Bo Dallas possibly, and Eric Rowan. So you'll probably bring like 3/4 of the faction, minus Nikki Cross and who was the other one? But they'll bring in most of the Wyatt Six. I doubt if they'll bring in Nikki, because she's running, I think, Progress in the UK. So yeah. But this is fun. I do like this. I expect for the Wyatt Six in some capacity to show up for this Thursday's episode of Impact. So that should be fun there. Hopefully they also end up bringing in like Aleister Black as well and Zelina Vega. I think that would be great too, because Kenny could use them. And hell, bring in Sheamus as well. All right, moving on from that. This leads us into Lethal Lockdown. The System. Eddie Edwards, Brian Myers, Bear Bronson, and Alicia Edwards. They defeated Ricky Sosa, Casey Navarro, Fabian Aichner, and Jada Stone. So this was an intergender match, basically. It went balls to the walls and shit. Jada Stone did a beautiful moonsault off the top rope, taking everybody out. Off the cage, taking everybody out. Eddie Edwards got the win for his team, ended up doing a package pile driver on a stack of chairs, and that was it. And I was like, what the fuck? Ricky Sosa ended up bringing out some barbed wire. He wrapped his arm around it and ended up doing a running uppercut, taking out Brian Myers and everything else. So, there's that. What the fuck, man? Why does TNA love the System so much? Whoever in TNA is booking the System deserves to be slapped. Literally. Like, this is pathetic. The System fucking sucks. The only members of the System that I like are Bear Bronson and Cedric Alexander. Fuck Eddie Edwards, fuck Alicia Edwards, and fuck Brian Myers. Fuck the System. This shit sucks, dude. It sucks. The faction just fucking sucks. That's all I can say. Moving on, main event of the evening. The Nemeth brothers, Nic and Ryan Nemeth, they defeated the Hardyz, Matt and Jeff Hardy, to win the TNA Tag Team Championships. Nic got the win via the Danger Zone, and that's how he won. So there's that. The Nemeths, they celebrated for a brief moment. Then Leon Slater showed up. He confronted Nic Nemeth. He decided to cash an option C at Bound for Glory. And then Leon Slater handed the title over to Carlos Silva, and it's now official. So that's the show. To me, this is fine. I do like this. I really, truly do. Him using option C is great. And I predicted that they were going to do Leon Slater and Nic Nemeth for Bound for Glory. Why? Because that's the biggest match they have at their disposal right now. Really and truthfully, they need some more main eventers in TNA. Again, like I said before, they should try to bring in Aleister Black and Sheamus and maybe Ilya Dragunov, but I could definitely see Sheamus and Aleister Black in TNA. They would actually fit TNA and do quite well there versus just going to AEW. Now, I think in my heart of hearts, Dragunov will be AEW bound. He'll probably more than likely show up at All In this weekend coming up. So, there's that. But TNA needs some help. They need help in the tag division. The knockouts division is fine, but they could always use some more knockouts. They need help in that mid-card, and they need help in the world title picture. Because if Leon Slater doesn't stick around, which I think he probably will stick around and probably sign an extension, but if he does not, then it is what it is. But I do appreciate the effort of TNA using a young guy in Leon Slater and say, hey, look, man, we're going to give you a massive push. We're going to push you. You're going to face Nic Nemeth for the TNA World Championship at our version of WrestleMania / All In, Bound for Glory. And it's great. I mean, because, again, he was losing so much to Cedric Alexander in the system for like a couple months straight, but that was all part of the storyline. And then he ended up beating Cedric, which we all knew he would. And now he's going to face Nic Nemeth. And I actually hope that Slater ends up beating Nemeth at Bound for Glory. I think that would be great. I really do. I think you could give Leon Slater a 3-month title reign. He wins it in October. Because they've got, after Bound for Glory, they got Destination X, and that's on November, I think, 14th or 15th. And then they're doing something for December. And I think after that, that's it for TNA, because they just do tapings for like the last two weeks of the year or whatever, right? They go on hiatus for a while. But I really do hope that Leon Slater ends up beating Nic Nemeth at Bound for Glory. And I'm very, very excited for Leon, right? He's 21, mega young, and he really wouldn't get this chance to main event a big show like this unless it was like an NXT. It would damn sure not happen in AEW. He would just be probably in the middle of a card doing some mid-card shit. But him being in TNA, it's worth it. And I'm very excited for it. So again, all in all, Lockdown all in all was okay. I liked 3 or 4 matches on the show. Elena Black and Xia Brookside was fine. I dug Leon Slater and Cedric Alexander, Last Man Standing. I love that. I also enjoyed the match of the night, which was Jason Hodge versus Mustafa Ali. I thought that was great. Nothing topped that. Main event was not really that good. So it is what it is. And then, having surprises, basically, a returning Kiera Hogan is great. That's good there. I think Rosemary got injured via working on the indies, so she's going to be out for a little bit, so that's fine. But I like this, and this was a really, really strong pay-per-view, and I'm sort of kind of excited for Thursday to see what happens for Impact. What do you guys think of Lockdown? Let me know. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace.